Hey everyone, this is Josh Shoemaker here again, joined again with Dan Keenan to bring you Nighthorn Global's newest high performance ASIN Pearl. So we have the Harsh Reality Pearl, which features the 902 Reserve Blend Pearl cover and the same disturbance AI core that was found in the original Harsh Reality. So anyone that was a big fan of the original realities or the altered reality, this is pretty much about as close as you're going to get to the altered reality without actually punching an altered reality. So I'll go ahead and start with this. We're on a fresh 42-foot house shot here at Floral Lanes, decently high friction center. So we're kind of going to start in the middle part of the lane and keep working left like we do on all the reviews. So I've had a decent amount of success with this ball already. I went ahead and took the polish right off the box, hit it hard with 1,000 and then light with a 2,000 over it, and ended up to shoot a 300 in my house shot league over the summer. So I'm a big fan of this ball and what I've seen out of it so far.
Josh is a show off.
That's the first one I've had in a while, I'll tell you that. So I'm trying to stay pretty forward with that. I could probably honestly bump a little bit further right than there. But what I've really seen out of this ball so far is just its ability to kind of blend the lane front to back really well. And I'm really liking what I've seen out of it so far.
All right, I'm going to be honest. I didn't really line up with this ball. I like to line up with balls I know the shape of. So let's take a guess here. So like Josh said, I haven't touched the cover. You haven't touched the cover, right?
I did hit mine with some service, take the polish off of it.
So I haven't touched mine, and first thing that's impressed me with this ball is I've got probably 10 games in on it now, and I haven't touched the surface. And its ability to blend to dry, it hooks in the oil still. So right now, I can see kind of leaving this ball maybe where it's at, maybe a 4,000 as it gets some games on it.
Yeah, so I definitely see this as a piece that's going to blend the lane real well front to back. With me, I don't really keep anything polished. I usually like to play a little bit further left, a little bit more in the oil, so I need a little bit more teeth on the ball to kind of get them to read front and back. I'm also pretty forward, and Dan's a little bit more on the side of it. So again, that's kind of a good difference that you're going to be able to see in ball reaction here with a couple different layouts and different surface preps. I'll go ahead and stay in the same spot. Just try to get it going up the lane a little bit more. Ooh. Got a little around that one and got that one right a little quick, but as you can see, it's blending off that friction really well. So I actually went with pin down, my favorite pin down layout on this, which is 35 by 4 by 85, same as my original Harsh Reality. So it just kind of cuts down the flare a little bit for me.
All right, I'm just going to bump to left. I'm not going to change my eyes yet. So right now, because we haven't clipped it yet, and we're blowing on fresh, which we don't ever do when we're doing these videos. So you might actually see us strike today more. So right now, this is where I would use the dry on the outside there until they cliff, and then I'll migrate in to the oil. One thing I do notice with this ball compared to some of the other new releases, this ball keeps rolling off the pin deck.
Yeah, so kind of similar to what we've seen out of all of our AI Core Tech balls since they've started putting them in. I think there was a lot of hype around it, and a lot of us really didn't know what to expect. But I mean, personally, every ball that's had it since it's come out, I've been a big fan of. I think they just roll a little bit heavier and hook a little bit more, which is always helpful for us on the volumes of oil we see around here, especially in Western New York. There's no shortage of volume when it comes to these patterns. So I'll go ahead and jump. Let's go 2 left. Just try to keep in the oil, slow down the speed a little bit, still rolling it. Ooh. Had that one going right a little bit quick. That one actually jumped out of it because I sold the ball speed a little bit too much on that one.
All right, so I did mine pin up. It's about 4 3/4 by 2 by probably 1.5. So my goal was to kind of make it my 3rd or 4th transition. So when I need bigger balls and I go left, again, like Josh said, because I'm a little more inside it, I have more tilt. I have high rotation. So what I need to do is when I get there, I have to avoid the oil and use the dry. So that was my goal was to get it a little bit down the lane, but towards the friction when I need it. So I'm going to stand where I just did. I'm just going to keep my eyes in one. So I cheated my eyes in one, so I got it down the lane a little further. Little lazy 10 pin there. So now I can just move off of that and probably just hit it a little harder.
All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and jump a little bit more left and come around a little bit more. The one thing I have noticed with this ball is you kind of get in that no-go zone, the middle part of the lane. It hasn't really been rolling that great for me, but when I'm a little bit further right and then a little bit further left too, it's been rolling really good. Ooh. Half.
Gas.
So again, moved left and threw it about 5 further right than I wanted to, and doesn't matter how good the ball is, if you miss that far right, there's no shot.
So everybody's aware, we like to do these videos the way we do them to show, the whole scope of the ball. So maybe when it's really good, what it does, and maybe when it's not time to use it. I think that's, we like to use a little education there. Also why we like to throw some other balls to compare it to as we go through the video. And you can also see when we don't throw it very good. All right, so I'm actually going to we're going to try and keep this ball inside of 5 at the break point. Nope. All right, so you look left, you throw it right. That's not good.
You got one more than I did, so. All right, see if we can rein it back in here. So I'm going to go back to the same spot I was on the last shot and just try to see if I can get off my hand a little bit better. Getting going off the lane a little bit more and really show you how well it's been blending these softer oil patterns for me. There we go. We're back. So I didn't roll that one. Got it going a little bit further right than I wanted to, but as you see, it gets to that friction, just kind of blends off of it. So I feel like when I've been throwing this ball in the league lately, I've had a really wide pocket, which translates to a lot of strikes.
All right, let's try to make this more around that tracer down the lane around 10. There we go. All right, so I got around that a little bit. Next one we'll get under a little more, and that should strike.
All right. All right, I'm gonna go same spot again. Just actually try to get this one going up the lane a little bit instead of throwing it dead right into the friction. There you go. All right, 4 times the charm. As you can see, again, standing in the same spot with my feet, but got that one about 4-ish left of that one, and it's still, even being in the higher volume of the pattern, was still able to blend it front to back and go through the pins really well.
Better. So for me, I definitely am seeing, first time I've really bowled on a house shot with it so far. Wouldn't necessarily be my fresh ball, because as you see it, when it does see the oil right now, because the heads aren't broken down enough, it kind of wants to skate through it. So on the fresh, it's definitely going to need to see the friction for me. Josh can probably use a little bit more of that shim.
Yeah, I really liked what I've seen out of it so far when I've hit it with a little bit of service, and it's let me play a little bit further left, kind of almost riding that oil line. It's been seeing the body of the pattern really well for me, so when I do get it right quick, it's slow enough where it's blending off the friction. Then when I miss left and get it in the oil, it has enough teeth to actually slow down, see the pattern properly. So I'm going to jump into probably the closest ball that we have to it. It's no longer in the line, but it's pretty much a clone of, is this Altered Reality. So this one for me is drilled quite a bit stronger. It's 30 by 4 by 30. So it's got a smaller buffer, and it's going to transition a little bit quicker and go more forward off the pattern. But you can definitely see similarities between them. So I'm going to go right back to where I started with the Harsh Reality Pearl. Stay pretty forward with it. As you can see, that's definitely a little bit slower and more forward off the friction. When I got that Harsh Reality Pearl to that same spot, I wouldn't say it was quick, but it was definitely more defined from there. Whereas that, with having a little bit stronger layout, the Altered Reality is going to want to go a little bit more forward off of that friction.
So I'm also going to throw the Altered first. So I did really a very similar layout. I just lowered. Now my Altered does have some surface on it. It's probably at a shiny 2000. Pin's a little higher. Mass bias is just above the thumb. So again, what I see out of this is it's definitely a little bit slower. Definitely quicker forward. So I'm just going to throw it on top of where I just threw the pearl, the Harsh Pearl. Kind of same thing as Josh. It read the friction, made a quick transition, and went forward. Where I think the Harsh Pearl is going to have a little more continuation towards the head pin.
So I'm going to go ahead and jump a little bit further left with this. I don't think this is going to be the right ball from kind of where we finished with the Harsh Reality Pro. I think with it being stronger and more forward, it's not going to quite shape us properly, but we'll see. It's in the same spot. Slow down the speed a little bit and come around it some more. Yeah. So even with slowing that ball speed down and coming around it, that was a pretty good shot. Harsh Reality Pearl had no issue with striking from there. Whereas that, you could see the friction, and even with the increased axis rotation, it still went pretty forward off the friction.
All right, so I'm just going to bump 2 back right. That way I can keep my ball speed up with the Altered. So the altered with the surface is at how quick it goes forward and kind of digs in. Definitely be a better option for me. I probably don't have to transition to a harsh pearl as quick as I would probably transition to an altered, just because the altered has that ability to dig in just a foot earlier, I would say.
Yeah, I definitely see it as the harsh reality being a little bit cleaner and quicker, especially with the layout I put on mine. Again, it's not the most fair comparison because the layouts are different, but I knew that with these balls, the altered and the harsh pearl being as close as they would, I wanted to differentiate the layouts because I still throw my altered reality a decent amount. So now I'll go into the original harsh reality. This has the same layout as the harsh reality pearl, but a substantially stronger cover and more surface. So I'll go right back to where I started with the first two and roll this one. It's probably going to see it pretty early though. Got that one going up the lane a little bit. As you can see, it's kind of what those realities are known for is it sees the body of the lane really well, or body of the pattern really well, and just kind of blends them front to back. So there's a ton of control when you're throwing any of these pieces.
All right, so I'll throw the solid. I have this this is a stronger layout. So my original reality is pinned down with a bunch of surface on it. The harsh reality is pinned up, still pretty strong, less surface. I don't really use the gem line for me personally because they really would only work for a handful of frames for me on most conditions around here because of how the heads are. So really the reality series is the top of my bag. So I'm going to move 3 left. I've been finding this ball's been about a good 3, 4, maybe even 5 boards stronger than the pearl. Got to throw it better. It's golf season, if anybody's wondering.
I love how we describe in detail the shot we're going to make, and I just missed by 5.
Completely not the shot I was going to make.
All right, so I'm going to...
Maybe Josh should be nice and edit that part.
Yeah. No edits. If my 5 stays in there, that's got to stay in there too.
Yeah, but I have 2 now.
All right, so I'm going to go right back to where we finished with the other 2. Slow it down, add a little bit more axis rotation, drop the ball speed. As you see, this is just going to be earlier and rounder than the first 2. Yeah, that's exactly what you expect with that being so much stronger of a cover with the solar layout on it as well. It's just going to be too far left for where this pattern is now.
We've also hit the cliff very quickly.
Yeah, very much so. The lanes are usually pretty nice for about the first game and a half, and then you hit the cliff, and you gotta get kind of fancy with what you do.
All right, let's try and hit proper targeting. That was terrible. All right, so everything was actually